time to start making a few more videos, doing a few more projects. I've got a lot of things in the works, but you know, in the works and actually working on them are two different things. So we'll try to pick it up here and get my butt in gear, as they say. Today I'm just going to do a quick thing, something that you can do to pretty much any one of your guitars that you have to make it play a little better, make it be a little bit more comfortable. If you're building a kit or you're building something from scratch, when you're doing the fretting, you can get much more playable, it's not more playable, but it's a lot more comfortable if you round the fret ends. It takes a little bit of the bite off, so when you're sliding your hand up and down the neck, you're not going to feel as much. It gives it also a little bit more of a professional look, if you care about that kind of thing. I'm going to do it on a ukulele that I built from a kit from StewMac, but I mean, same idea everywhere. So I bought a fret file. I'll get you a close-up of it, but it's a fret file from StewMac. I got it on Amazon on one of their sales, so it was still pretty spendy for a little tiny file. But you can also make your own. I have a triangle file that I ground the edge down, ground one of the edges flat on the bench grinder. It works okay, but it's hard to get a nice flat edge on the grinder because you're still pushing it along your fretboard. You don't want it to dig in. This is at least smooth on the end, and so when you use it to fight, you're not gonna dig into your fretboard. Whereas if you don't get a perfect flat on the triangle file, it makes it you can do some damage if you're not careful. So it's a triangle file costs you a couple of bucks. This thing was $20. So I mean, you can get it flat. You can take your time and use another file or a grinder or something and get it flat and make it yourself a usable tool. I wanted to test this out, so that's what we're gonna do. We'll jump into the uke here, and I'll give you some close-ups of what I'm doing. But it's I'll give you one or two frets, and then probably just run a time lapse of doing all of the, because it's over and over repetition. So I'll do a bit of a time lapse on the entire project, but I'll zoom in and give you an idea of exactly what I'm going to do. It's pretty simple, but just more information for you to put into your work. So let's go for it. Alright, so we're focused in on this. This is just the first fret here. What I'm going to do is going to take our file here and just run it over. You can probably see the fret end is pretty squared off on that one. It's going to be harder for me to file it this way just because of my hand and the tripod and stuff, so I'm going to do it on the other side. But basically what I'm going to do is use my file here, put the flat side down on the fingerboard here, and come across round the edge of this fret here so that it's not sharp on this specific edge. As you move your finger up and down here, you can feel the edges of that fret just as a tiny bit sharp, and so what happens is you will feel that when you're playing, and so people go to super meticulous detail in this, and you don't need to you can just do a bit and get a much more playable surface. So I'm going to move this over to the other and I can already feel that little burr is gone. So basically all I really need to do is get that to my liking, and then just do all the rest. Obviously it's a long and tedious chore, just like any fret work, but just a little bit of effort, and it can make a ton of difference in the feel, but also the look of your instrument and how professionally you want to make it look like it's been done. So we're going to get this set up. We'll round all of these over and we'll come back at the end. Alright, so this was an easy project. This file made pretty quick work of what I was doing. Yes, it's an expensive file. $20 for a tiny little thing like this is kind of exorbitant. But if you're going to go through the trouble of buying another file and making one, what's your time worth? It's a toss-up. This works pretty well. I made it so that I didn't have to be ultra careful with rounding the edges because the end is not sharp. It's not going to dig into the fretboard or the finish or anything else. So I was able to just pretty much go to town on it. It wasn't didn't have to be quite as precise with it. So if you're worried about some of that, still $20 is $20. So you have to make that decision for yourself. This is a good tool. StudMac makes good tools. Some of them are really expensive. Some things you can make cheaper yourself and they work just as well. Some not. So you just kind of have to decide. You can make your decision yourself on that one. It certainly does make a difference when you've rounded the fret edges. I made this from a kit from the StudMac kit. It's a ukulele, and it plays a lot nicer now, especially with something like this. When you're holding it, you're kind of holding it up with your hand, so when you're sliding, you can feel. If you don't do a good job, you can tell. So it does make it an easier playing. Yeah, playing by your face is not the best thing. Anyway. Hopefully you enjoyed this project. I'm going to try to upload some more stuff. Maybe some more quick hits like this one. I doubt this will be a super long video. That will maybe inspire you to put in some different work in your kits or your builds. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.